Welcome back to the program, everyone. It's John Pollock with you. We are getting set for UFC 201 coming up next Saturday night, July the 30th, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on pay-per-view. Welterweight championship action is going to be headlining the card as Robbie Lawler defends the title against our guest at this time, Tyron Woodley, who is back by popular demand to pay-per-view coming up on Saturday night. Tyron, are you getting, is kind of that itch there that you're so close at this point for what you really stood firm on, that you believed you deserved this title fight, and now we're just about a week away from you realizing this opportunity?
Well, damn, that was quite an introduction, man. Back by popular demand, pronounced my name correctly. I don't know if I've been called Tyron in I don't know how long. I've been getting Tyrone forever. But to answer your question, man, I'm completely excited. I'm ready, man. You know, a lot of times you got those uncertainties. You start looking back like, man, maybe I could have ran a little bit more. Maybe I could have sparred a little bit more. But I really can confidently say, no matter which way the dice roll, man, I am ready. I'm prepared. My coaches have really put in the time with me. I've got some amazing training partners that, you know, even if I punch them with a hard right hand or kick them or slam them, they've stayed into character. They've stayed Robbie Lawler the entire sparring session. And that's very hard to do. So I got to thank those guys. And, you know, I'm excited to make everybody proud.
What was it like when you got the phone call? Because you gambled on yourself. You said, hey, I'm not taking any fights that are going to detour me. I know what I'm owed. And you took a big risk here, and you got the title fight. What was the reaction like when you got that phone call and it was set in stone, you've got Robbie Lawler next Saturday night?
You know, I thought it would be like a moment of, you know, tears of joy and me jumping around and being so excited. But just sport is so crazy. You know, you never know. Things happen and the dice get shuffled so many times. After I signed my bout agreement, I didn't know if he signed it or not. So I was just waiting to make it official. And it really took a week or two to really soak in. You know, I was already training. I knew I would be fighting soon. I didn't know if I was going to get that fight or another fight. So I was getting prepared. But when it happened, it was just like, I didn't want to get myself so excited to be let down, if that makes sense. So it took about 2 weeks to soak in, and he's like, hey, man, let's not get excited yet. Let's not go and jump through the roof, because all you've been given is opportunity. After you prove it, after you show it, and after you come home the welterweight title, then let's take a moment. Let's reflect. Let's look over your career, and let's celebrate, man. Let's really celebrate life at this point. We never enjoy the moment. Think about all the fighters who don't even have pictures of them in the locker room. We never remember how the walkout feels, the training camps, all the, you know, the inside jokes that we have from just being behind the scenes in the UFC. We never enjoyed the moment. We just so caught up in training camp and in fighting that at the end of this fight, I'm going to appreciate all the work that's put in and all the people that made this possible.
It's a great point you make, Tyron, that is, you know, the world is going round like this, and fighting especially, that sometimes it's only the destination everyone's got their focus on. You miss the journey in between all that and all the work towards this. This is a great achievement for you. Here, this is a loaded division, and you are fighting for that championship.
Yeah, you know, one thing that just kind of put me in perspective last night, I had a buddy of mine, Ben Askren, who called me, and he was like, hey, man, did you get headlocked by Ian Semiroth in college? And this was like a guy on the team that wasn't, you know, he wasn't the number one guy on the team.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell no, he didn't headlock me. So it was like a joke, and then they was laughing. It's like, oh, I'm going to ask Coach Smith. And he was like, no, Coach Smith said he think he headlocked you. And I was like, no, it wasn't him. It was this guy. And I tried to kill him after he did it. But the conversation kept going. And then it was one of my teammates, Jeremy Spates, who's now the head coach at SIUE. There's my coach who's the head coach at Cal Poly. There's my coach that's assistant coach at Arizona State. And there's the other coach at Air Force Academy and two other guys who run their own clubs and are head coaches there. But I just realized that all these guys are my teammates. These guys have suffered with me the hardest sport ever, which is wrestling. And these guys are all rooting for me. They're all successful in their own right. They're all were riding with me to be the world champion. And they just gave me the extra encouragement. It was just one simple, happy moment, one picture, which I'll post later on my social media, one picture of my teammate, my guys, you know what I mean, that been in the trenches with me. And that makes it worth it. That's just a chapter of my journey. Then you think about your family, and then you think about, you know, the waiting process, the highs, the lows of this sport, the politics of it, you know, losing fights. Losing fights you thought you won. There's so many so many different parts of this journey. You're right, man. We don't enjoy it, and I look forward to going out there, focusing only on the fight, not on the media, not on the hype, not on all the bells and whistles. Getting through this fight in dominant fashion. And afterwards, man, I just want to take a moment just to soak it in.
Where were the trenches for this particular fight? I know that you've spent time in Milwaukee. Is that where you've been the entire camp, or have you been going to Florida and back?
No, I spent most of the camp in Milwaukee. I always started the camp. I own American Top Team in St. Louis, so ATT Evolution is always the beginning of my camp. So I separate all my martial arts in the beginning, do just wrestling, just boxing, strength and conditioning, just grappling. So I do that like 3 or 4 weeks before my camp start to basically sharpen all those different areas. And then I started slowly bringing my striking and wrestling together, punching the takedowns. And then I slowly bring my takedowns to grappling. And I slowly start to blend them. That way, I don't suffer any injuries. You just jump buck wild right into full MMA first week of camp. You're going to be straining and tweaking and, getting a little nagging injury. So I've done that the last 3 camps. It's proven to be beneficial for me. So I did 4 weeks in St. Louis. I did 6 weeks out here in Milwaukee. And then I'll travel to Atlanta Tuesday, and I'll be ready to roll.
Now, there's so much going on in the sport in the lead up to UFC 201. I mean, between everything that's been happening with the UFC sale, with USADA. I don't know if you're aware of this, Tyron, but I was looking this up today. You are one of the most drug-tested athletes under the UFC umbrella. You've been tested eight times this year already. You've been tested. I mean, what has this process been like for you here?
Hey, I love what they're doing, cleaning up the sport. I've never been a guy, some buddies of mine like Tim Kennedy and Michael Bisping and Luke Rockhold, they've been very vocal about their basically bitter disgust with guys that use PEDs. I've gotten people that I know, former teammates, people that I know that have utilized PEDs. So I've never really made a strong statement about it because I don't want those individuals to make it feel like I'm making a statement towards them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you made all this money, you won these titles, and you basically got fast track. So now if you're getting popped and you got to sit out for 2 years, or you're getting fined, or you're losing fights because your body doesn't look the same, then that's the cost you pay. And I got to be honest, I don't feel bad for you. One thing that I was not a huge fan of this past UFC 200 is that I personally believe, which I don't have proof of, and I could be incorrect, I believe they had the test results for Brock Lesnar before UFC 200. And I believe that they did have those tests. He, along with John Jones, should have been removed from the card. Or if they were going to allow him to compete and bring these findings up later, then John Jones should have been allowed to compete. And if that B sample was negative, if that B sample was positive, then he should have been fined. It should have been called a no test. If it was negative, he should have been given a public apology by USADA and the UFC, because that really tarnishes your legacy. It really tarnishes you as an athlete, that you're always viewed. Even if it comes back and they say, okay, no, his B sample was negative, we made a mistake. If you don't really apologize and address that, it really makes the athlete look as if they were freaking guilty anyway. So that's my only thing with it. I don't mind being tested, but damn, can y'all please quit testing me at 6 a.m.? Like, I ain't running from you. I ain't hiding. Call me. I will meet you. I will come to you. Don't come to my house at 6 a.m. because I am asleep.
Well, I was just it's amazing, some of the guys that are getting tested in such a high volume, and I think you would certainly qualify that. You're one of the most tested guys in the sport this year with USADA, and yes, that's a part that I don't think a lot of fans realize. It's 6 a.m. wake-up calls, and sometimes, as you're alluding to in that fact. We only have a few minutes left here, Tyron, but I know your movie career is also something that has very much taken off. People saw you in Straight Outta Compton, and I'm curious that as you are segueing into more acting roles, do you qualify as a member of the Screen Actors Guild at this point? Are you now part of a union because of your acting work?
I was blessed, man. My first movie I've ever done, I did Olympus Has Fallen, a Gerard Butler film talking about the White House being taken over. I did that film. On my first film, I was blessed to be a part of a big blockbuster hit that did about $100 million in box office in the U.S. Got my SAG card on that show. I qualified for the insurance that comes with it on that show. And from that point, I've done more movies than any other fighter in the UFC. It's just not talked about a lot. I've done Straight Outta Compton. I did Olympus Has Fallen. I did a remake to Kickboxer that's coming out. I got a wicked fight scene with Georges St. Pierre. Me and Georges St. Pierre kicking the hell out of each other in the fight scene in one of the nightclubs there. I just did a movie called Going Under with Bruce Willis. Did Sons of Anarchy, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Player. I just did a TV show called The Last Ship. I've done a lot of different commercials, Pepsi commercials, and it's not talked about a lot, but I'm out there getting those things myself. No agent or no representative is finding these things. I just take the same grinding, hustling mentality that I do in sport. I take that same mentality to get myself in there, and I got some great friends in the stunt community who are coordinating. Now these guys are filming, and they have good leverage. And I come in as a white belt. I don't come in that I'm this UFC fighter and you should hire me. I come in, hey, I might not have as much experience as all these other guys, but I'm a hard worker. I understand camera. I'm going to work my butt off, and eventually it'll transform into an acting career.
Last thing, Tyron, and I could chat with you for an hour here. Of course, Fight Week, we know UFC Embedded will be going all over the place. Is Champ Camp going to have a place all week in Atlanta? Are you going to be keeping everyone updated with what's happening Fight Week with Tyron Woodley?
I'm glad you mentioned that. We got an episode 2 of Champ Camp. Make sure if you guys aren't following me on social media, follow me there. I will be connecting a link to my bio of my Instagram. I also will be posting a direct link on my Twitter and Facebook. Episode 2 of Champ Camp will be coming out. You should get some pretty good footage, some behind the scenes, some foolery, some hard training, and just some conversation and mindset. And then episode 3 would take place Fight Week. So we're gonna take some jogs in the park where the individual hung himself or was hung or however that happened. We're gonna just do a nonverbal, just run a piece and just let people put their own filter what they think it believes. We're gonna do that. Training camp. We're going to do it all the way through to the victory. Then episode 3 will come out after I'm the UFC welterweight champion of the world. So make sure you guys tune in. Camp Champ. It will be going down. Episode 2 this weekend. Episode 3 at the end of the fight next weekend.
Robbie Lawler, Tyron Woodley, Saturday night, July 30th for the welterweight title. He is the A-lister, Tyron Woodley, and all the best, Tyron, going into Fight Week. Looking very much forward to this fight.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.